Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
This is So I'm Watching This Show. All right. When we started this show, we started out as a podcast only. And we have about probably like 300 and some.
We have almost 400 episodes.
Yeah. We have like 300 episodes that are audio only.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And we started doing a video about midway through our fourth year. Third year. And basically, some of those episodes that are audio only, I think are particularly good or interesting or funny or whatever. And so I was going to see if I could convert them to the YouTube by adding some pictures and video clips and trailers and stuff like that, or trailer footage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you clicked on this, you know what it is that you're about to listen to us talk about and maybe enjoy watching some visual aids.
Pictures.
So, yeah.
Right. Bye.
See ya.
On today's episode, we are going to talk about our favorite childhood Christmas movies for actual Christmas Day. And we decided to watch actually one that neither one of us have seen in at least 20 years. Right?
Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then A Muppet's Family Christmas and the claymation Rudolph from the 50s.
What do you recall? The most famous reindeer of all.
It's the story of Rudolph and how he ends up. I mean, it's like I don't know how real it is, with the song and everything, but it's basically Rudolph is born with the like bright red nose, and he's sort of ostracized by all of the other reindeer because they're seemingly terrified of his nose. And he joins up with the elf who wants to be a dentist, whose name is Hermie. And they go off on an adventure, and then they come back and they basically save the day.
Well, I didn't realize, for some reason, I thought Rudolph was like folklore. And apparently he's not. His first appearance is 1939, and he was created by Robert L. May. It was the credits that was making me think that. I was like, where did this come from?
Gotcha.
So he was relatively fresh.
Yeah.
He was like a fresh creation. The song was out in the 40s, I think. So the movie was in 64. Is it? I have a hard time with the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Like what came out when?
Yeah, they sort of merge in a way that I'm like, this felt older to me than the 60s. But
well, I said 50s. I thought it was the 50s.
I definitely saw this as a kid. I didn't really it didn't stick with me, I guess, the way it did with you. I think Abominable scared me when I was little.
He's pretty scary.
And so I think I just wanted nothing to do with it. And unless there was something specific about it that I liked, like just the fact that it was on TV, I guess wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah.
So this was my first time watching it in decades. I mean, maybe I saw it in middle school or high school. I have a vague memory of watching it with Jack in high school. Maybe it was on while we were doing something. But it was nice. It's incredibly of its time.
Yeah.
It's one of my first notes is I was just like, it's very heteronormative.
Yes, it's very heteronormative.
That's why you mentioned to me while we were watching it that they kind of redid it a few years ago on, I guess, 14, because it was for the 50th anniversary.
It was like for ABC Family.
Yeah, and they did it digital, like CG. Do you know if they tweaked the story at all?
I don't know if they tweaked the story at all because I was so angry. I refused to watch it forever.
Just because they redid it, or?
I just think the claymation is charming, and I think that while I do love computer-generated movies and, crazy animated movies, I worry that we're going to lose something. You know what I mean? Like, kids are not going to get exposed to this old CG or this old claymation that's so charming to me.
Yeah.
Or stop motion. I guess they're felt, but.
Well, sure. The stop motion is charming. I can see how for children they might be put off by it. I guess my issue is that having not seen because I kind of want to see the one they redid, but I don't think they did it I'm assuming that they did it CG to make it better. I'm assuming they did it because it was cheaper.
Well, that could be.
Where it's like if they wanted to, that would have been neat if they made an event. Because, okay, I think the story needs to be freshened a little bit.
Yeah, I fully agree
so
with
it's
that.
like if they wanted to, and this is something that happens with theater, and because of the nature of theater, it's easier to do, where when they revive shows, a lot of times they'll rewrite parts of them. And so Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella is like a different show now. So I think for something like this, you could keep the story, but just sort of tweak it a little bit. So it would be nice to see a claymation or a artistic or sophisticated type of animation go into it. Again, having not seen the remake.
Yeah.
But usually when they do that, it's because it's cheaper. I turned on, just out of curiosity, this reboot of Muppet Babies they've done on Disney or Nick Jr., and I think it looks awful.
Oh.
I think the computer animation is so bad.
That sucks.
There's a character named Birdie that I don't know why is there. I didn't really watch it, so I'm not critiquing that, but it's just like, I think a lot of times when they revamp these things, it's a cash grab.
Yeah.
Which make money, get coins, but honor the integrity of the story.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just was really put out that it wasn't. I mean, and I know what you mean. Remaking it with claymation or stop motion again now would be more expensive than just getting
even
some asshole to draw it, you know?
Or even, I mean, if you were going to animate it, do it with style, like do it with flair and like a computer animation, or because it's like we haven't talked, but this Into the Spider-Verse movie looks stylish in a way that feels like someone made an artistic choice.
Well, and because, I mean, not to go down a tangent, but like each Spider-Man is drawn in a different way depending on the universe and the like book they come from, which I think is really cool.
So
you liked it more than you thought you were going to?
I mean, I didn't really have any stakes. It was pleasant. It's a very childish story.
Yeah.
So there was really, I don't have any strong feelings towards it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was a little antiquated. I did not care for Rudolph's dad.
No, Rudolph's dad is a
He's
real
the
dick.
worst.
Comet, you think he's Comet?
Donner.
Or Donner, yeah.
He should go find his party.
It's spelled different, but it's actually Donder. There's another D.
The reindeer?
Reindeer.
Donder. Okay. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's wrinkling my brain. Okay. Hermie was interesting. Is dentist code for anything?
Potentially.
I also felt that way about the word misfit.
Yeah.
I was like, do these mean anything? He was just a little
Is
Chauncey.
this Hays Code approved for gay?
Yeah, it was. I personally, I mean, I'm an adult watching this thing for children from the 60s, but I was like, I personally wanted a little bit more stakes. I get not quite stakes, but yeah, I wanted a slightly more sophisticated story.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some things that I laughed at. What is his name?
Yukon Cornelius?
Yes. What he's doing here, I have no idea. I was along for the ride, as everyone was. But I was tickled by his dogs.
His sled
because
dogs.
they're not sled dogs. It's like one of them is a Saint Bernard,
Yeah.
but then there's like a Cocker Spaniel and a Dachshund. And I was like, that's not how sled dogs work. But it was cute.
It worked.
And it was like, I feel like things like that, there could have been more, if they were to refresh it, there could have been more bits there.
Little like that. Little
Given them
things like that.
personalities or stuff. I liked the Island of Misfit Toys, and certainly in concept. Again, I just wanted more. There's this weird Lion King.
Yeah.
With like angel wings.
He's like,
and,
Moon Racer or something like that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is this going to a Christy place? And you were like, no. And I was kind of like, oh, this imagery is really like.
This imagery begs to differ.
And he's just sort of there and gone. So it's like, yeah, I would prefer something more connected, more like bring the whole story around. So in theory, I like it. And certainly, I mean, keep the classic, but I wouldn't be surprised if it phased out a little bit. But, so you do still, is it is it a nostalgic thing?
It's heavily nostalgic at this point because it's a thin story. It is, like you said, super antiquated, but what
is her name?
Which?
The doe, his girlfriend? Clarice, when she started singing.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything, but I guess the energy shifted and you were like, yeah, her voice is weird. And I was like, okay.
I forgot how weird, because it also, she gets like backing noise also. So it's like every time she starts singing, it's like a...
Oh, his nose made noises. That was unnerving to me.
It clinks, yeah.
But it radiates, like it sounds like radiation. I was just like, ooh.
The sequel, All the Reindeer Have Cancer.
Oh, I thought you were telling me.
No, my God.
Because there is one. I was like, how?
No, because of the radiation.
No, I was like, how did something in the 70s?
No. I didn't know there was a sequel.
Yeah,
so.
there's apparently two. 76 and 79.
Hmm.
You know what I never saw is the one that Drew Barrymore did?
All of the other reindeer?
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Oh, is it?
It's really cute, yeah.
We could add it to the list.
All of the other reindeer.
So, yeah, it's certainly if, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
It was fine. I didn't take a ton away, but.
No, that's fair.
But I would certainly, I mean, it's like, I don't know that I would, if I had kids, I don't know that I would like push it on them, but I would certainly lay it down and see.
Well, I would show it to them, but if it wasn't their favorite, I wouldn't make them watch it. But it's like, it's one of the ones that I watch every year at Christmas time.
Do?
I watch, well, especially when I used to watch a little more ABC Family Freeform because they do the 25 Days of Christmas, and I would like mark it on my calendar when this one was playing. So, but I watch this, and I watch Love Actually, and I watch Elf.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually watch Meet Me in St. Louis like the last 5 years or so. Those are my Christmas movies.
Okay, so we also watched A Muppet's Family Christmas, which, as I mentioned in one of our Muppet episode, is different than A Muppet Christmas Carol. Right. And I have had that issue with people anytime I brought it up. They just assume that that's what I'm talking about. A Muppet Family Christmas was a TV special, an hour-long TV special that aired December 16th, 1987. So it is 31 years.
Early birthday present for me that year.
I was like, we should have done this last year. It's notable as I think it's the only time, it's certainly one of very few times, that all of the Muppets interacted. They all converged in one special.
Like Sesame Street and the Fraggles and everything.
The Muppet Babies, even though they're depicted as puppets, but it's like all of the Muppet properties were together. I loved this. I don't remember a time without it, but I was 2.5 when it aired, but I think they replayed it 2 or 3 years in a row, but not many. It's kind of considered a like, not lost gem, but it is regarded as a bit of a gem, and it's not common. I know my mom taped it because I had a VHS, and she actually would like not let me watch it year round because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And it had very specific commercials in it.
Are these the ones?
I don't think they were.
Well, this was like a Raleigh-Durham like airing of it.
Okay.
So some of those, and they weren't like local commercials, but like that news at the end.
Well, I was going to say we can get to that, but I have the Oshkosh Bagosh commercial seared in my mind.
Yeah.
And I have a weird memory of like one of the Easter, like the Cadbury Easter commercials, and I must be merging like a Peanuts Easter special or something. But the fun news is that this is available if you want to watch it. There was a VHS that was moderately popular, and it is on DVD, but it is edited. And it's edited in such a way that there are a few plot holes in the DVDs because they didn't have the proper rights to the music, to all of the music. So things are just sort of cut out.
Yeah. And
actually you lose my favorite line in the entire show, which is when Ralph starts playing the piano and just says, I love an out-of-tune piano. Because I always did. I think it's fun. And that's not in the version, but they have it on YouTube, at least for now, and it's been there for a few years. So I think we'll try and link to it. It's not a great quality.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
It's passable, but you can watch the entire production complete with the intact scenes and the commercials, which are wild, to say the least.
Got a couple M&Ms, got some Doublemint gum, got some extra gum.
Several Doublemint gums, several types of cereal.
Yeah, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
The 80s commercials were way more sincere than they are now. And frankly, I mean, even the special itself, because I swore you had watched this with me, but you swear this is the first time you have ever seen it.
Yeah.
So
nothing was familiar.
What did you think?
I liked it. It was cute. So you had to tell me a couple things because I didn't know that Sprocket and Doc were from Fraggle Rock. I didn't remember that, even though I did watch Fraggle Rock. But yeah, I mean, it was fun that like everybody was there. I realized today, I know you hate the meme, but I was today years old when I realized that Swedish Chef had human hands, and it has successfully blown my mind.
Well, it was unnerving you, and I was like, he's had them the whole time.
I had no idea.
Well, he's not in the new movie all that much, and while we watched a few skits, I think especially if it's just like filler, you're not always like glued to the screen.
Well, also, but the thing that got me the worst is like none of the other humanoid Muppets have human hands.
Well, Will said he's grabbing things in a way that they're not. Like he's picking things up and putting them down.
It's weird.
I don't think any. I mean, I guess it's weird. I don't think anything of it, but it was just so funny because I saw a tweet saying that like a week ago. Yeah. And I was like, oh.
That was real weird.
The plot is, it's so quaint. And I truly believe I would like this even if I didn't grow up with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say 30 to 40% of it is nostalgia for me.
Yeah, I mean, having never seen it before now, I liked it a lot.
It's very traditional.
Very sweet.
It's very, it is, the plot is that the Muppet gang decides to surprise Fozzie's mother, Emily, for some reason. Her name is Emily.
Emily?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch that.
They decide to surprise her for the holidays. And so they just sort of show up and crash at her house. And they bring all of their Muppet friends.
Meanwhile, she's been doing like, she was going to go to Malibu and rent out her house.
Surfing lessons.
Yeah.
And she had rented out her house to Doc and Sprocket from Fraggles because they wanted to have a quiet country Christmas.
Yeah.
But Fozzie was like, bears love surprises. And so everybody shows up. And from there, it just keeps, people just keep converging on the house.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really the plot. There's a couple of like subplots, like the Swedish chef trying to like find and cook the turkey.
Yeah.
And there's like a scene with the Fraggles that mostly lifts right out.
It does lift right out, but it was nice.
Because some people, we both like to watch the Fraggles.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have any affinity for them, I don't think that
that won't do it for you.
But it's like, I don't think it's kind of, it comes and goes.
Yeah.
So I guess the only real major issue being dealt with is that Piggy is away at a photo shoot and a blizzard, like a storm of the century, comes in. And so Kermit is worried that she's not going to make it. And so we are kind of seeing her trials and tribulations trying to get to the house for Christmas. Yeah. But it really has a like bygone era of holidays where it's not chock full of all the cameos that the Muppets are famous for. Mm-hmm. There's not any gimmicks because it's something that we were talking a little bit about with Rudolph, where it was like Rudolph's a little bit older and I think it shows, but it's very much about the holiday because the AV Club did several articles about it, but I was reading one. And one of the things that the author said was that it doesn't represent Christmas as some like global phenomenon. It's like an intimate family thing.
Sure.
And the Muppets are all about found family.
Yeah.
But this in particular is kind of like the foundest familiest of the.
Sure, yeah, because they all just sort of end up there.
They don't know each other. And I mean, even Doc has lines where he was like, a few minutes ago, this would have been weird, or because when he goes to find Piggy and Kermit's like, well, she's a pig. And he's like, a few moments ago, I would have found that weird, but not now. And he says, he has a line later where he's like, we're all friends now. So this is what Christmas is about. This is what the holidays are about. I think it's actually very beautiful in a way that like the sets are really nice, especially the exterior of the house is so pretty with the snow.
They go deep too. Those sets go deep.
Well, when you think about how many puppets and puppeteers they have to fit on, I have always found the Muppets to be like,
it's mind-boggling.
Engineering masters, how they get all that stuff together, and especially because towards the end there's a rather lengthy musical number where it's like a montage of, or not a montage. What are they called?
I had it until medley.
Like a Christmas Carol medley. And I mean, this is why I know those songs.
Yeah.
So many of them, when I hear them to this day, I'm imagining this. Because I mentioned to you while we were watching that
Christmas time.
Before we need a little Christmas. That song I think of as a Muppet song. Yeah. And it's like I've heard it a time or two on something else and I've been like, oh, are you allowed to do this? And it's like, because there's even CeeLo Green has a Christmas song that's really great. And it features the Muppets.
Oh,
and
nice.
it's called All You Need Is Love.
Yeah.
But the chorus is all you need is love. And the Muppets are going do, 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 do.
Oh,
all you
that's
need
cute,
is love.
yeah.
Do, 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 do. And it's like it's this huge kind of bandstandy number that I always wished had taken off a little bit more because it's great.
Cute.
But I guess it's not in their peak because the Muppet Show was over by this point.
Yeah.
But certainly the Sesame Street and the Fraggles and all that were huge. It is funny because it predates a few things. Like it predates Elmo. Elmo's not in this.
Oh, yeah.
And that was weird to me to think about.
Yeah. Because I didn't see Grover either.
Grover's there.
Was he?
Because Robin gives Grover the pebble at the end.
Right. Yes. Okay. Because Grover's my favorite.
It's just really sweet watching the Avengers is the most ambitious crossover event. It's really sweet watching all of these characters sort of interact with each other. Like seeing like when Janice, because you said when we first started.
Yeah, I was like, Janice is having not grown up with the Muppets, when you did my makeup that way and put the wig on me in the picture that you can find on our Instagram from a couple weeks ago, I just assumed Janice was like a very tertiary character that you knew because you knew the Muppets, but she's in the Muppets.
Well, she doesn't have plot in a lot of things, but she is ever present.
Yeah, which I did not know.
They're wanting for female characters.
That's true.
Which is something that in the 90s they started adding. And it's like some of them are very dated, but hilarious because there's a character named Spamela Hamderson.
Oh, yeah.
And she was in the 15 revival.
Uh-huh.
But so it's like for a hot minute, Piggy and Janice were the sole named female characters. There was a couple that would show up that they were familiar, but anytime that Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, I kept pronouncing it
Mayhem,
and it's Mayhem, are together on screen, she's there. And my mom always says the line from this, because there's a scene where she brings out a platter of cookies and Cookie Monster just loses his goddamn mind. And she just goes, "Who was that strange blue creature?" And it's like, and then Animal and Cookie Monster like resonate. Yeah. They have like because I think Animal says that's my kind of puppet or something. Yeah. Animal can't say that. That line comes from somebody else, but you know what I mean. And so there's something, interesting about watching these characters interact that it feels like it would warrant a bigger movie or like a bigger event and not just this sort of like lost to time holiday special.
Right.
But yeah, I it's the thing where it's like I want it to be way more popular, but I also would hate that if it suddenly just was.
If it were, you'd be real sad about it.
So yeah, it's very sweet. It's very warm and friendly. It's just very cozy. Like especially the plot with like Piggy being out in the snow. And it's like, we're in Florida. It's like, we're not feeling that, but I'm almost there with them.
Sure, yeah.
Because I don't remember which of the Muppets, but he's like, we're all warm and, I think it's Beauregard.
Warm and toasty, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, we're all warm and toasty in here. And you're like suddenly worried about Miss Piggy in the mud and snow and with her awful 80s perm.
It's terrible. Her hair in this
But her photo
terrible.
shoot is so funny.
It's hilarious. When she's behind the column at one point, she like throws her head back and puts her legs straight up on the other side.
Yeah. Her gams. I will say there is a very sweet cameo appearance by Jim Henson in the very end. It just feels poignant. I don't think it's his last appearance, but
not 87. He died.
It was 3 years later.
91, I thought.
Yeah, 90.
90.
But it feels kind of.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it feels very poignant because he's watching them have all this fun and he's like, well, someone's going to have to clean up this mess.
Right.
And so him and Sprocket start doing the dishes.
Well, to pull the poignancy down a couple of pegs.
So, okay.
No, not that. I was going to say Jim Henson could get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's so handsome.
He's a big old hippie, but
no, I love it though. He's so cute, and then the credits started rolling, and he credited himself last out of all the puppeteers, and I just like, what a good man.
I thought you were gonna say, if you do find this version on YouTube, fair warning. Beyond the fact,
fair warning if you're watching it with children. If you're watching it by yourself, I think you'll be fine.
I don't think children would notice.
It's a lot.
I have no memory of it.
Well, you were in Raleigh, Durham.
That's true. But there's a as the credits are rolling and the music is still playing, there's an advertisement for that evening's Nightline. And it's now I have forgotten what it says, but basically he's like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Something or another." And he's like, "News on the controversial front of such and such." But the phrase, "Should a doomed baby be kept alive if its organs can be harvested for other babies?" And it's like, tonight on Nightline. And both of us were just like,
Record scratch.
It was like, and you were like, what the hell just happened? I said, well, the phrase doomed baby. It was going back in time sometimes as a trip.
Yep.
Just seeing what.
Yep, sure is like, what was that movie with Bill Cosby that they were?
Oh my God, Leonard.
America's favorite man, Bill Cosby. And I was like, leave.
Yeah.
Zoinks.
It was
Leonard Six.
Leonard Six. He was battling Medusa. That's all I know. I did write down. There's Oshkosh Bagosh. There's a very strange M&M's commercial that plays twice. You didn't seem impressed with Filmation's Pinocchio.
That looked horrifying. It was Filmation's Pinocchio and something.
Yeah, and like the curse of the bald something or other.
It was
like
bananas, and it looked real bad.
It looked real cheap. It was rated G though.
So what?
There was that double mint gum. There was two of them, and each one was different. There's a Julie Andrews special that looks kind of fun.
Yeah, with who was the first? Who was the Italian singer? I don't remember which one it was now.
It's one of the like Italian opera singers.
And John Denver.
Yeah.
What a fucking trio.
This also has the My First Sony. I remember that one. It's like, I like pizza pies. I like macaroni, but something, my first Sony. And I remember the images, or what they looked like.
Sure, yeah.
Because like the headset had this weird red triangle and like the recorder. It's visceral.
Oh, right there.
If you have even a slight affinity for the Muppets, I think it's great.
It was very cute, and I liked it a lot. And it was also like Piggy and Kermit can sometimes be a little antagonistic, and they weren't. Like Kermit was just worried about her, and it was nice.
And I've always said that Piggy is a extreme character, and they very frequently use her sparingly. And this is another one where she's only in sort of scenes. It's like we check in on her every so often, and then she comes sledding in at the end. And I was just gonna say our favorite was always the icy patch. I mean, that's
funny.
a running joke through the whole. Not a person walks in the house that doesn't slip on the icy patch on the door. And then the last thing that we watched was the Charlie Brown Christmas special. Had seen it?
Probably. I don't remember.
I don't know how a living human, like a conscious human, could have not ever seen it at some point.
I don't really remember anything about it but the music and the tree. And it was also, this was weirdly it was only 25 minutes.
Yeah, I thought it was longer too.
The other ones were both an hour.
I remember liking it as a kid. I just do. And then I was over it. Middle school, something about it. I found it boring or something. So I have not seen it since I was young. And watching it again this time, it is hilarious.
Yeah. Do you mean hilarious how everybody just calls Charlie Brown the worst to his face constantly?
Well, I remember Charlie Brown was put upon. That's why the sad Snoopy Charlie Brown walk that they do in Arrested Development and all that. But it's just, lighten up, kids. It's funny because it was like when we were talking about Rudolph, I said that I didn't think it aged quite as well. It needed to be refurbished. The story needed to be refurbished.
Yeah.
And this is only a few years after that. And this felt pitch perfect. This felt right about right now.
I think it was a little ahead of its time.
Well,
the ennui of children.
And the rampant commercialism and consumerism and all that.
Sure.
Because Charlie Brown is disillusioned by the commercialism of Christmas, and everybody else around him, particularly Snoopy, is partaking in it.
Yeah.
Because I remember Snoopy decorating his doghouse, and I don't think I fully. I definitely didn't fully comprehend the plot. I didn't understand Charlie Brown's depression. And I mean, I knew that he would go see Lucy as the therapist. Or does it say psychiatrist? Psychiatrist?
Either way.
I think it's psychiatrist. Because you laughed because the sign said the psychiatrist is real in.
Yeah.
And I was
the doctor is real in, yeah.
And just the way the way they were speaking, the like script and the dialogue, it was very funny. So she tells him that he needs to distract himself with a task. So she sort of instructs him to direct the Christmas play. And so he does. And it's not really going.
Yeah, well, all the kids are just doing their own thing. Like Schroeder's playing the music he wants to play, and nobody's doing what Charlie Brown wants them to do.
That scene of Lucy and Schroeder about Beethoven, where she's like, Beethoven's not so great, is he? Or something about like, what does she say? He has a picture on a baseball card,
a bubblegum card. Yeah,
I wrote that as like seared in my mind. But yeah, so they send him to go get a tree, and for some reason they're all metal.
Yeah, like aluminum trees were.
Was that the thing?
I guess.
Okay.
I never knew they were, but there was like all different colors, like so many pink ones.
I knew that different colored trees were a thing, because you even said, you're like, these are all just like back in style. These
They're
are
just
all great.
all awesome, yeah.
Because there's a lot of tinsel in these old specials, and tinsel's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So he finds a real tree that's the most pathetic little Charlie Brown tree. That's why it's called a Charlie Brown tree.
Yep.
And of course they hate it. And so he's failed again. And
well, but he feels bad enough, but then they all are like, you're the worst, Charlie
Blockhead.
Brown. I knew you would have messed up this task. And I just was like, God damn, these like 7-year-old kids are brutal.
Are they? Yeah, I was going to say, how old are they supposed to be?
I don't know, they're probably actually like 10, but.
Because this special also has the ice skating and the dancing. There's that famous shot of all of them dancing to the Charlie Brown song. And
the Snoopy dance. I love it when Snoopy like points his face up.
I remember watching the Peanuts cartoons and stuff as a kid. Does Snoopy talk in some of them?
He has thought bubbles.
Okay.
And Charlie Brown can kind of understand him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He felt weird to me in this one in a way that I was like, I think Snoopy, not unlike Mickey Mouse, went through several kind of.
Yeah, to my knowledge, they don't carry conversations with each other. It's more like Garfield in that way, where they don't really talk to each other, but like you see what they're both saying. I also just love Snoopy. He's a beagle.
It was really funny. He is a beagle.
It's from the Daisy Hill Beagle Farm.
Yeah. I'm like, it's all coming back to me, but yeah, his stuff was really funny, and his animation, because
he's so cute.
It was very cheaply animated. A little bit of the behind the scenes stuff that I was just reading while we're watching it, but they sort of commissioned it. It said Peanuts became a phenomenon worldwide by the mid 60s. And so they sort of like commissioned it real quick. And so it was written over the period of several weeks and animated on a shoestring budget within 6 months, which is for hand-drawn animation is
very small. Yeah. I want to give props because it looks just like the comic strip.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think it's great.
Well, they made several other unconventional choices because they're real child actors.
Yeah, that was definitely kids.
Which is not like, I mean, this was at this point in cinema, they would dub child actors' voices in movies with adults. For some reason, they thought children couldn't be understood. It's so, have you ever seen those movies where the kids are like, golly, and it's like, whoa, because it's usually women doing but there's also, it had an unorthodox soundtrack with the jazz score by pianist. You said it was Vince.
It's like Vince Guaraldi or something like that. Yeah,
I keep wanting to say Ghirardelli, and
that's definitely not right.
It's Guaraldi, Guaraldi.
Yeah.
And there's also an absence of a laugh track, which I guess was like a staple of television. And that feels like that silence. Yeah,
it could have a laugh track.
I don't want it to, but it's like
it could.
Once I read that, I was like, there's a weird, in a nice way, but it's like there's an absence of something.
Yeah, now that you say it, that you're right.
But yeah, it says, in addition to its tone, pacing, music, and animation, it led both the producers and the network to predict the project was going to be a disaster. And contrary, it was a giant hit from both fans and critics.
Yeah.
And it's been played every year since.
Yeah, I mean, I always catch like 5 minutes of it, but I've always liked the Peanuts comic strip, but I never really got into like It's the Great Pumpkin or like Charlie Brown Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything. So
well, they felt insisted upon me in a way that I was like over, and so choosing to revisit it now, I was like, this is really great.
Yeah, it's delightful.
I think it was ahead of its time. Certainly, obviously, the sentiments aren't because they're there, but I think certainly for mainstream family entertainment.
Yeah.
I didn't know that like disillusionment by commercialism was a thing in the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I should watch Mad Men, but
Yeah. We should watch Mad Men.
I've seen the first 2 seasons, but so I mean, in the end, they all come together and make the tree pretty, and then they sing. There's also, because when you asked me about it, I was like, we could do that. It's been a long time. And you're like, I know I've seen it, but it's been a while. And I was like, it's real crazy. And
it wasn't as crazy.
It really wasn't.
And when you said that, I was like, oh God, like how crazy. And it really wasn't. They were doing a Christmas pageant. And so it was like Jesus Christmas.
But I actually thought it was nice.
Yeah.
It didn't feel forced upon us.
No, but they said like, hark unto ye a couple
times. It was scripture. Yeah. He was reading scripture. But it's like, whether you believe it or not, or whether it's your faith or not, it doesn't deem it artistically valid or invalid.
Right.
Like, it's like, I think the story is worth telling if you tell it in an appropriate manner. Mm-hmm. And I actually I remembered it being more than it is. Mm-hmm. And so watching it out, I was like, this is actually kind of nice.
Yeah, it's good. I didn't have any, I mean, I don't have problems with Jesus-y stuff anyway, but it was not. It didn't feel like I was getting preached at.
Exactly. It's like when you can feel them trying to indoctrinate you is when it's like, stop it. This is not a mission.
I think Jesus was a cool dude, and I think the Bible is a nice story.
Well, and again, like I said, I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with the nativity story.
No.
Around the time of the year, as long as it's not, like I said, it's not being a tool used to recruit people. So, yeah, I mean, and they do. I think Glee, they usually covered all of the different stuff, and that's been, because I think was the Christmaka, isn't that on?
From the OC.
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit nice if you do it, because the Muppets bypassed it completely.
But I think that's important too, to have something that's secular. Mm-hmm. Where they do have a tree and everything's red and green and stuff. But but
they're like, it's a time where we come together, and celebrate peace on earth. And I was like, okay.
That first of all feels a way more Jim Henson type of sentiment, and I think you need both.
And sure, because it would sound disingenuous coming out of Jim Henson's mouth. It felt authentic. It felt authentic here, so I liked it. I really did. This one might go back more so into my rotation.
All right, cool.
And has this been updated at all? I know they did a movie a couple years ago that I think actually got pretty good.
Oh yeah,
response.
I don't know.
I'm interested in visiting that now.
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
The only other thing I don't know where it's from, but the Red Baron, Snoopy versus the Red Baron.
Oh.
It's weirdly a Christmas thing.
Oh.
Because there's that weird, like, 70s rock song.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like, da-da. I can't even sing it. I
don't know. Do you know that song? You lost me on several points. No.
My mom would play it all the time. So I just, I think I conflated everything into one.
Yeah, that might be.
No, I'm fairly certain Snoopy versus the Red Baron is a Christmas thing. It's like one of those, kind of 70s rock folk songs.
Okay.
Where it's like, it's telling a story.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you leave this, Will, you gotta find the song.
After the turn of the century, in the clear blue skies over Germany, came a roar and a thunder man had never heard, like the screaming sound of a big warbird. Up in the sky, a man in a plane, Baron von Richthofen was his name. 80 men tried, and 80 men died. Now they're buried together on the countryside. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 or more. The bloody Red Baron was rolling up.
It's like chronicling the battle of Snoopy fighting the Red Baron on this Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So,
because I remember Snoopy in the
plane,
in the pilot helmet and everything, or the the goggles. Mm-hmm. But
I think it's a Christmas thing. I'm gonna stand by that.
I'll allow it. I have no evidence to refute. So
my mom knew all the words, and she would get into it. She'd just be singing along. And I'd be like, "This is real weird, Mom." I think there's sound effects in the song.
Your mom is also 10 years older than my parents, so that's a whole different. She was the right age in the 70s.
I'm getting all these images of their parties. They're but because I'm trying to sing it, but anytime that I open my mouth, "Run, Run, Rudolph" is all that comes out. And I was like, that's a fifth thing.
That's a whole different thing
to be bringing into this. So, did you have anything else that you wanted to say about it, or?
wrap up?
Well, this is not to wrap up. This is to open another can of worms, but I did not like when they made Snoopy embarrassed.
Oh, it was so cute.
He was dancing his little beagle heart out, and then Schroeder and Lucy just stared daggers at him, and his little face turned all pink, and he just slunk away.
Because it's like as my memory serves, I remember him being a little bit more anthropomorphic. Mm. And in this, he was acting more like a dog than I remembered, and I was like, oh my goodness.
He was very mean, and he was very sad.
He sounds so... Because he doesn't sound like a dog. I don't know what it is.
He definitely doesn't sound like a beagle.
It's like... That was always weird to me. And Woodstock wasn't in this one. Is this like before?
This was pretty early.
Because Peppermint Patty wasn't in it. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Especially if this was successful, then they probably started churning things out.
Yeah, Peppermint Patty was in it.
I didn't see her.
She's the girl in the green with the black hair.
Well, then who's the other one? Her girlfriend. One of them wasn't in it because they certainly weren't together. On Wikipedia, it says 3 of the characters were named 3, 4, and 5.
Oh. Well, I think they were both there because the girlfriend is the one that is always like Sir, right? And she's wearing plaid.
I don't think they were there, but I mean, we just watched it.
Well, I am not. I should brush up on my Peanuts characters because it's been a long time. But no, yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a lot cuter than I remember it being.
And I'm impressed that it holds up as well as it does.
It holds up really good. Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
Like surprisingly.
Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed your Christmas
or whatever affiliated pagan solstice celebration you're having right now.
I could use a little more solstice. Well, we've got Sabrina for that, or we had Sabrina for that. It was excellent or terrible, depending on which we'll dub in the right sound. It was almost as good as Super Bowl 93. No, it's like just...
This is coming out way before the Super Bowl.
Start predicting things so it'll age.
Oscar winner Amy Adams. Speak it into existence.
That's unlikely. So, okay, I'm done.
Merry Christmas. Okay, as always, you can follow us on Twitter @SoI'mWatching, Instagram @SoI'mWatching this show. We have a Patreon and we have a website, soimwatching.com, with links to